Every DAWless or hardware-centric spectacle, especially if there's like a lineup of artists there's bound to be Elektron gear present. Every single one. Whether it's using the octatrack as a mixer or maybe to control a modular setup. Sometimes it's even just Elektron gear standalone, Elektron gear with other Elektron gear. It's everywhere in this scene, on and offline. I feel like it's sort of just become like a standard. And so why is this? There's many reasons for this, which we're going to be getting into in this video. This is not a review of a specific Elektron piece. It's more of like the company as a whole and how it stands within this industry. And also, to be clear, this video is not sponsored by Elektron in any way. The point of this video is more about documenting knowledge about Elektron, specifically for people who maybe are new to the DAWless or electronic music hardware world. Anyone who's maybe wondering about what the most efficient and durable consistent gear on the market is, or maybe you're just like a seasoned gearhead who somehow has not played with any Elektron gear yet. I believe that this video will point you in the right direction. This video is, however, sponsored by DistroKid. If you're someone who is interested in releasing music and not wanting to spend too much money to do it, use DistroKid to distribute unlimited music to all major streaming platforms for just over 20 bucks a year. I've been using them since before they were a sponsor of this channel, and we're going to be getting into reasons why I think they're the best later in this video. Design and durability. A lot of gear these days is just so portable that it moves, like you end up moving it around. It's not like owning something like the MPC-X where it's just like clunk, it occupies that space on your desk and you're not going to move it, at least for a while. Either way, it's important for your gear to be solid, to be durable. The Elektron boxes, the Digitone, the Digitact, the Syntact, even the octatrack, the analog rhythm, the analog heat plus effects. These are all boxes that we see a lot. They have some of the best build quality in the biz, hands down. Personally, I have never experienced any sort of technical issues with my gear. I also frequent Elektron related forums relatively often, and I've never seen anyone complain about the design, the build of their gear. I did own the model samples a few years ago, which is like the lesser of the Elektron series, I guess you could say. I will say that the samples as well as the cycles, those don't seem to have the same sort of build quality. Even the buttons don't feel the same as the boxes, like the higher echelon of Elektron gear. But even then, still haven't seen any issues or experienced any. I've owned and still own a lot of desktop gear, and just in comparison, there's something about like the rock solid build of Elektron units. It doesn't really compare. These buttons are kind of love-hate. I personally think they feel great. I like the clickiness of them. I personally like the sort of lo-fi graphics on the screen. I like that. Everything you'd expect from a modern unit, Elektron's got you covered. I'm not going to go too far into the features outside of Elektron's sequencer because I find that that's where all Elektron units shine and have sort of set the standard. Outside of their outstanding sequencers, a lot of their features are a bit more subjective depending on who's using the unit from one unit to the next. But you could expect a quality, cutting edge, and logical workflow with all of their units. The analog rhythm has been goated as a top tier drum machine in the DAWless world. You see it all the time in performances, online, offline. The octatrack, again, is another unit that's been goated, especially for its effects mixer quality, on top of being an even more powerful sequencer and sampler in comparison to other Elektron units. Even the Elektron boxes have solid mixers. But as I mentioned, when I think Elektron, I think sequencers. So let's dive into how they've sort of shaped the sequencers of other DAWless units over the past few years. They've been on the cutting edge. It's the precision that gives you so much flexibility, let's say, for example, with the Digitact. Starting with kick, snare, hi-hat. So just with these three, there's already quite a lot going on within the sequencer. So the first thing I'll do, just the hi-hats. I've zeroed in on two specific notes here. So this one here, as well as this one here. So let's take a look at this one. I've put a bunch of reverb on it on this note specifically. A little bit of delay, overdrive, same thing with this. And I've messed around with the filter as well. So I've brought the filter down so it gives like a much darker quality. And I find that it just makes these hi-hats a lot more interesting. On top of this, I've put delay on the hi-hats in general, so it gives like a 16th note feel. Let's hear this all together. Okay, you could also nudge things around. So with the claps, I could nudge these like a little bit behind or ahead of the beat. I usually put my claps like ahead of the beat slightly, and you can get really precise with that. So just with those 3 voices, there's a lot going on. Let's take a look at this 4th voice here. I'm gonna upload a sample into it. Maybe like a piano thing, yes. Play some of this in. 1, 2, 3. This is all pretty standard so far. Voice 4. I'm gonna drop a different sample onto this sequence here. Choose something completely different. I don't know what it's gonna sound like. Here we go. Something else. Cool. I like that. Maybe a different note. Nice. I'm gonna bring the filter down on this note specifically. Tons of reverb. I'll do the same thing again on this step right here. Let's play it. Drop this note way down. I'll add another set of hi-hats on this 5th voice right here. There we go. So without, with, and I can tune these down a bit. So 5 minutes later, we're still 1 pattern and 5 voices in, and there's just so much more that we could do with this box. Like, it's not just a drum machine, obviously. It's a groove box, in my opinion. All of Elektron sequencers are just as powerful, or if not more powerful than the Digitac, so it just gives you an idea of what their sequencers are all about. Not to mention that this is just with the standalone unit. You could control other synths as well in the same way. And this is actually our next topic. In my experience, Elektron has the most consistent MIDI control. I've controlled other units a bunch, specifically with the Digitac. I've also controlled the Digitac with other units like a MIDI controller or even a DAW or something. It's smooth and steady all the way, either way. I've noticed that outside of Elektron from one unit to the next, there's like a spectrum of how well they sync with other instruments. Some of them might skip, some of them will just straight up stop. Others are slightly out of time, like they sync out of time. Sometimes the sync will slightly sway with whatever it's being synced to, and it's frustrating because there's nothing you could do about it. And that's a bit unreliable. It's just peace of mind to buy Elektron gear and just know that you're not gonna have any issues with that. Maybe it's just because I haven't really dug deep enough yet, but so far I haven't experienced any sort of bug with any of my Elektron units. They're advertised to do a specific thing, you buy them, they do the thing. And this is actually something that I touched on with the MPC-1, which was not at all reliable for syncing. Here's the video if you want to check it out. And so the big point is that whether you're in a live setting or just jamming at home, you want something that's reliable. Elektron gear is the way to go for that. Are there sequencers out there that are more efficient or deeper than Elektron sequencers? The answer to that is yes. The Oxy-1 is the first unit that comes to mind. I actually did a video on that as well. But the thing about the Oxy-1, as truly amazing as it is, it's solely a sequencer and a very expensive one at that. Whereas the Elektron boxes, the Digitac, for example, is a great sequencer on top of so many other things. DAW integration is another important thing to bring up because let's face it, most people are composing in their DAWs in some way, maybe in combination with other gear. Before getting into that though, I wanted to talk about today's sponsor, DistroKid. If you are an independent artist or producer, DistroKid is pretty much the #1 choice. First off, there's a discount linked in the description of this video, which I encourage you to use. It's just over $20 a year to release unlimited music to all major streaming platforms. And one of the things that makes it amazing for independent artists is just the sheer amount of free promotional tools that they offer. Personally, my favorite is Hyperfollow, which I like to use as a free link in bio link. It's the cleanest that I could find, and you're able to claim as many pages as you'd like for free. So for example, if you have multiple artist names or possibly landing pages for singles or any other important landing pages, DistroKid's got you with Hyperfollow. They recently released an iOS app so you can access all of your DistroKid information, your statistics, all through your smartphone, which just makes everything that much easier and like on the go. So join the team. There's over 1 million DistroKid users and they distribute 1/3 of the world's music. DAW Integration. Like most electronic music hardware these days, you don't necessarily have to stay DAWless. Everybody knows that most people produce in their DAWs, so companies want to give people a chance to integrate hardware with their DAWs. This is where Overbridge comes in. Overbridge allows you to seamlessly control and integrate Elektron gear with your DAW. So if you'd like to introduce some buttons, a bit of, tactile hardware with your DAW setup, this might be a way to go. There are options though. Alternatively, if you like the workflow of, just standalone in an Elektron box, I would consider myself to be one of those people. I like to compose things in the Digitac. I'm also able to bounce all of these parts in real time into my DAW. I find it to be a great way to come up with ideas that I definitely would not have in my DAW. And of course I could, finalize and dress up those ideas once they're in there. Let it be known though that if you are composing within your Elektron box, it's gonna sound different than when you bounce it into your DAW. It just doesn't sound as good. And then there's the cherry on top, the price. The price is right in my opinion. DAWless gear is expensive, it all is. There's just no way around that. That's a reality of this industry. But within this world, if you consider everything that I've mentioned in this video, just that durability, consistency, features, the power of the sequencers, the consistency of syncing up with other instruments, the fact that there are very few bugs in general. You've got DAW integration as well. If you look at it holistically for what you get, I think that the prices are pretty much justified. The octatrack, the analog rhythm, again, this is where you're stepping into some heavier territory, of course, but finding other units or possibly even several other units to cover the territory of what this does, you're looking at a pretty heavy price range anyways. And if after watching this, you are someone who is on the lookout, potentially going to buy some Elektron gear, please use the affiliate links in the description of this video. I would make a commission from that sale. It doesn't cost you anything extra, helps me a lot. I also have a Patreon, which is just stacked with exclusive content if you want to check that out as well. Do you agree or disagree with my take on Elektron gear within this industry? Let us know in the comments. And that's about it. That's what I have for you guys today. Hope to see you soon.